And it's been a wild weekend, guys. It's been a crazy one. I'm happy to be here, sitting here talking to everybody. Um, yeah, it's been a crazy weekend. Not like in the sense of a lot of like a lot of just unplanned things happening. I'm checking my podcast setup right now, specifically because I'm changing it up a little bit. I have that arm, so I have the arm that I use for the podcast for the mic, and I decided to keep that thing away, and it's just kind of like up here on this thing, like out of the frame, because this sounds a little crazy, but having this thing so I can just move around and I can move my arms and I can kind of go like this and still talk to everybody and go like this and still talk to everybody. And for you guys just on audio, I'm just moving my body out of the frame that you would see if you watched it on YouTube. But I think that thing restricts me a little bit because it's so weird. The corner I'm set up in my bedroom, it is so hard because the table I have is flat, but underneath of it kind of has like a ledge. So the way the arms is set up, you have to like screw the thing in for it to connect to the other side, so it's squeezing the table so it doesn't fall. And I know you guys are gonna be like, well, just like stop being an idiot and find something, but I can't find anything in my room that it's gonna be elevated so the microphone hangs down in front of me, because the way that the microphone has always been set up, that's not actually the way that the microphone is supposed to sound. It's supposed to be dropped down in front of me, not like pointing at me. So like it's supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to talk into it like this. You see what I mean? This is the way that you're supposed to talk into it. Not like this or not like this, but this is the way that I have been. This is the way I'm going to be talking into it for now on. Just until I get a really nice microphone, which is something I'm going to be doing sooner than later. I'm going to be getting a nice microphone, 2 nice microphones, so I can have guests on and I can have myself on and I could talk to you guys in a very professional manner. But it's been a good weekend. I've had a good weekend. I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of homework, honestly. I worked both days, Saturday and Sunday. I worked both days, but I did so much homework and I was so productive. And I think on Friday and Saturday, I did a combined 16 hours of just studying in a library. And then Saturday and Sunday, I got kicked out of the library both days because apparently the place closes at like 4:45. I thought it closed at 5:45. And then I went to Starbucks and I just did more and more work. On top of that, I've been reading my book a lot lately. I had a beautiful conversation with my father yesterday, who is, our relationship's always been rocky, I think. Not really rocky, but it's always been confusing, in the sense that the way he views things is not the way I view things, but we always have this need to exchange ideas with each other. I don't know. It's just like we love conversating, but sometimes the conversations don't go exactly where they're supposed to go. And sometimes they can get a little bit aggressive. But we had a beautiful conversation, him and I. He just kept on telling me things about how proud he is of me, how impressed he is by me, how I am more than what he was at his age. At the age I'm at now, he was not like at all when he was my age. And it's always weird to hear that from your father, right? It's always weird to hear that from anybody who is your guardian, for anybody who's grown, who's raised you. You know, it's always a weird feeling, especially when you view your father as somebody who is more than, who is an incredible human being and in your eyes, the most powerful, intelligent person on the planet, right? And for people out there who don't have a father, who don't have somebody who they can look up to like that, I don't know how you do it. I'm sorry. It's crazy to me that that some people do so well in this world without ever having a base to fall on. Like I have a base to fall on. My parents are always my base. They're always there for me. You know, it's really weird. No matter how much like shit gets weird between us, or you know, we conflict on different topics or different ideas, there's always a place to fall back on, right? There's always a place to fall back on. There's always a place to feel comfortable on, and that's a beautiful thing. And so I ran, you know, I live here, but I never see them. Like I never see my parents ever. It's very rare. I've seen probably once a week, maybe at the most. They're going to work when they leave to go to work like 7 a.m., 7:30, I'm already out the house. I'm not home till 11. They're already in bed for work, and the weekends I'm up at Virginia Tech, and the ones I'm back, I'm working in the morning, and then I'm pretty much at the library all day, and they might be out at like a restaurant or something with the friends, or out partying with the friends, or whatever they're doing. Baby showers, wedding showers, whatever it is. And then they come back and I'm pretty much in bed on my laptop doing work, homework, editing. So it's really rare for me to see them, and I'm not getting any younger. So I've really been making that effort. So when they are around, to converse with them and have conversations with them and just talk to them and let them know that you're still present and you still want to listen to them, and I think that's something that's super important. And that's kind of what I did this weekend. I just conversed with my parents, and it was a beautiful thing. I've also been going to the gym again lately. It's weird how there's moments in your life where you kind of are in a rut, right? You're not doing what you should be doing, and you know how to fix it, but it's just not in your conscious. It's deep in your subconscious, and it hasn't, it's deep in your unconscious part of your brain, and it hasn't come up yet, right? And for the past few months, everything's been going well, except for like my mental state. It hasn't been going well. But everything that I've been doing has pretty much been the same, and I've been doing really well on a lot of things. School, I'm doing really well on. Work, I'm doing well at. This podcast, I'm being very consistent with. Associating myself with people, talking to people, the relationship with my girlfriend, with my family, with my sister. Seems like everything is going really well. But the one thing that I wasn't even in my radar. I didn't even realize I was doing it. The one thing was I kind of fell out of working out, right? I was dieting and I fell out of working out. I just wasn't working out anymore like I used to. And I knew that I wasn't, but I didn't know the importance for a personality or someone like me that I need that, right? I need that time of the day to just work out, not worry about anything, to sweat, to get that extra energy out of my body. And it was just so strange because I wasn't doing that. And after 8 years of working out pretty much every single day, I was probably working out 310 days a year, which is, that's like 1 day a week off. Probably more than that, 310 to 330, working out twice a day and just working out very often, almost obsessive. Just working out so much, and I didn't really realize what I was doing. I didn't really realize how much I was working out. And then I also didn't realize how much I wasn't working out, and I was making valid excuses. And what I mean by valid excuses is I was convincing myself I didn't need to, that it was becoming bad and it was ruining me for my life. But then I realized, no, what was, this is how it works for me. What was messing everything up was the fact that I was working out. Not that working out was ruining my life, but I didn't find a balance. I wasn't balancing a workout. I wasn't balancing anything. I was just working out a lot, or I wasn't working out at all. And I didn't realize that until like last week. So for the past week, including the past weekend, I have been doing very high intensity workouts. I've been kicking my ass, and it's only like 10 to 30 minute workouts. Doing like a CrossFit style workout, just trying to get my heart rate up, just trying to sweat. Doing like power cleans again. I'm deadlifting. I'm doing hip thrusters. I'm doing thrusters. I even attempted a snatch, which I highly don't recommend for you to do if you don't know how to do it. And therefore, I highly don't recommend me to do it because I most likely don't have good form. I just have mediocre form. But it lifted the world off my shoulders. I felt good again. I felt like I was able to throw myself into situations more level-headed because there was just that extra energy that I just wasn't releasing from my body. It was just stuck there, right? And it was just boiling up inside of my head, and it was just making me go crazy. I was getting sad because for I don't know, for me and for people like me, and I think for everybody, that there is a certain amount of expenditure of energy that you have to get rid of from your body every single day. And if you don't, it builds up, and builds up, and it turns into a few things. It turns into stress, it turns into anxiety, it turns into anger, it turns into irrational thoughts that might lead to depression. And for me, that's where it led. It led me down a path of just the energy just kind of mixed up together. Like from each day, it mixed up in a bowl, and the bowl represented all the extra energy from the week, and it just kind of shot me down. And that's where I was, and I didn't realize that until I decided to do just a workout where I think I did like 1,000 meters on a row, which takes about 4 to 5 minutes for me. Not the quickest at it. So like a row machine, not like a barbell, dumbbell row. So I did that for 1,000 meters, so about, like I said, 4 to 5 minutes, and then I did 12 hip thrusters, or not hip thrusters, just thrusters. So it's a movement where you set up as a front squat, you squat down, like you do a front squat, and then on your way up, you throw the bar through like you're doing a push press, and then you reset back with the bar on your traps, or not on your traps, but on your upper shoulders, on the shelf of your chest, and you go back down to a squat, and you push back up. I did it for 12 reps, not a lot of weight, only 95 pounds, but I did that 4 times. And, it took me about 20 minutes, and I'm not in the best shape of my life. And I just felt so good afterwards. I just felt like the extra energy, it was gone, like boom, gone out of my life. And it felt beautiful. And I was like, damn it, this is what I was missing. This is what I was struggling so much with. This is all the days of just like going to bed and not being able to fall asleep, or waking up and just not being able to get out of bed, because all that energy, all that extra whatever, those chemicals were now gone. I used them in a healthy manner, and I felt good. And I've been doing it every day now. And like I said, the workout's only between 10 to 30 minutes. Just sweat my ass off and just kick ass, put the fucking pedal to the metal, and just fly through it. Just fly through it. And I feel so good now. And I did it this morning. And on top of that, I decided to finally switch the mic and just kind of have this portable one. And that makes me feel good because look, I can move. Like I'm moving everywhere. Look, I'm over here. I'm over here. I feel good. Yeah. So it's just like little changes. And it's interesting because I didn't even think about it. Right. I didn't even think about it. It just kind of hit me. And then once I did realize that I haven't been working out as hard as I used to be, I was like, oh shit, well maybe if I just go a little crazy, then I feel good. And I've always been so obsessed with like being strong. And I'm not that strong. Like I'm really not. Like I get pretty shredded, but I'm not that strong. Like I have a friend, Charles, he's been on here 3 times. That motherfucker is a goddamn ox. Like he puts up 500-pound squats. He pulls a 500-pound deadlift. He's a beast. He's a monster. He's also 270, and his body's set up to be 270 and be a fucking monster. Me, I have the body like that. I could, but I don't feel good, and I want to live a long, long time, and I don't want to crush myself. And that's something that even within the past year, I've just finally realized. Whereas before, I used to work out heavy. Like when I would bench, it was nothing less than 225. Like on the days that I just did 225, I was doing 3 sets of 10 at 225. And then I would do 3 sets of 3 at like 275, right? And I was strong, and I was squatting 400 pounds, 365, and I was pulling 400 pounds plus. And at the time, it felt good. I was also eating a lot of calories. I was also like 220, 230, 240, whereas now I'm like 208, right? So I realized I don't have time to just put on massive muscle, right? I don't have time to do that. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have 15 to 30 minutes to work out. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm traveling on Fridays. The weekends, I'm gone. I'm just hanging out and I'm having fun. And then when I'm not, I'm doing homework all day and I'm trying to get a good like hour workout in. I think I'm finally in a point of my life where I have treated working out. I'm not squeezing it in. I'm doing it, but I'm balancing it with everything. Like the days where I used to lift really heavy I was in there for 2 hours, man. 2 hours working out, and it was getting a little ridiculous. And I looked good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't healthy. And anyways, what I'm trying to say is I'm in a place now where I feel good, and a few other things that I've really been working on. Why I down this 110 calorie Red Bull while I'm talking about health. And I know this is why I tell you guys all the time to not listen to this podcast and take what I say as what you should be doing, because I'm not an expert and I wouldn't do the things that I do, because the things I do are a little ridiculous and crazy and obsessive at times. But let me just wet my whistle real quick. I'm sorry I said wet my whistle. That was disgusting. That tasted awful. I just brushed my teeth about 20 minutes ago, so that tasted great. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, another thing that I have been doing, or you could say I stopped doing, I obsessively rip off my fingernails and I bite my fingernails. It's so nasty. I don't know if you can see my hand right there on the camera, maybe not. But on my hand, I have these the calluses, right where your palm meets your finger. I get them from the barbell. I eat those things. Like, I put my mouth up and I bite them off. I spit them out. I'm a savage. Like, that's disgusting. I'm like, that's like something that a chimp would do. A chimp wouldn't do that. A chimp would look at me like I'm a fucking crazy person. But I would do that obsessively. Also, I would bite my fingernails, and that's disgusting too. Like, I don't recommend biting your fingernails. Nobody finds that attractive. It's disgusting. It's something that I've always done. Like, I've always bitten my fingernails, and it got to the point where I was doing it so much that I didn't even care anymore, like what people thought about me. Whereas if I saw someone biting their fingernails, I would have all these like assumptions about the person, like they're a crazy person, they're loud, they're annoying, they're probably a little special, like they probably need help, like real mental help. They're probably dangerous. And I knew all these like assumptions, and I'm just honestly, all those things I just said are probably not true, because I'm not any of those. Well, I am a little crazy, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I don't know. I don't know what I would say. I know what I want to say, but I'm not going to say it because I don't think I'm allowed to say it on YouTube. But at the same time, I started becoming healthier. I started working out again. I started to eat right again. That's another thing I've been doing. I've been meal prepping. I've been eating my protein. I've been getting in a decent amount of carbs. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I've never been I like eating carbs, but I also know that carbs are not that they're unhealthy for you, but too much is not good. And it's easy to eat a lot of carbs. It takes no effort. That's something about weight loss that I always find conflicting with people is, it's like carbs take no effort to eat a lot of. You can eat 400 carbs without even think about it. Well, me, but like if you're a normal sized person, like I'm 6 foot, so I'm not like super tall, but I'm just a big person. Like I'm just a wide person. Like I'm a thick German. Like I'm just like if I wanted to, I could be 250. I could plump up to 250 without even thinking about it. I plump up to 220 within a month. Like it's not an issue. But like too many carbs is easy to do, and that turns into sugar and that turns into fat. Too much fat is semi easy to do. Like you can eat a lot of fat at one sitting, but then you feel full. Your body, like it feels like it just hit a wall, right? And protein's not that easy to get a lot in. Why? Because it doesn't taste. It's not that it doesn't taste good, but it takes a lot of work for your body to cook protein, right? It takes a lot of work to make protein. Like compared to a Pop-Tart, which is like 40 grams of, it's probably like 80 grams of carbs for both of them combined, right? I don't know. That's what I'm going to say. Probably about 80 carbs, probably more than that. No, it's probably about 80 carbs, maybe less, honestly. It takes no effort, right? You just go to the closet, open it up, and boom, you have it right there. It's right there in front of you. So it takes no effort to do, right? It's super easy to eat 80 carbs. Your body smokes through it, right? It uses it as energy source. It smokes through it. I'm not a nutritionist, so once again, do not take advice from me. I just have to make that clear because I don't want to get in trouble. But your body smokes through it. And then if you want to get 80 grams of protein in, we better be around a stove, right? Unless you want to do like a shake or something, which you could do, but I don't like shakes. I like eating. For me, I have to eat because I got to better my relationship with eating. I don't just want to drink it. I don't like how gassy I get after I have protein powder. I don't like how farty I get. I feel fat, and I don't like I would much rather eat animal protein, right? Even beans. I'd much rather have bean protein. But like I will have a shake. Like I probably had a shake. Last time I had a shake was probably 2-3 years ago. So I have them like once every 3 years. Once every 3 years. I don't really have them a lot. A lot of people ask me why I don't do them, and I can never really give a good response. My best response is always I would much rather have animal protein because animal protein comes with all the amino acids, and I just think there's more vitamins in animal protein. In the same sense that I would much rather eat a cup of rice, and you would much rather eat a cup of rice rather than having a cup of carbo mix. And I think the reason that people don't make that assumption with carbs is because it doesn't take a lot of work to cook. But like if you want to do 80 grams, like if you want to do 30 grams of protein, which is like a typical scoop of protein powder, it's about 25 to 30 grams of protein. You just put in some water, chug it, and you're good. It takes like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And if you want to have a little bit more protein, maybe use some milk, which is weird. I haven't had milk in months. I don't. I had yogurt, but I don't have like direct milk. But if you want to have 30 grams of protein, of animal protein, and I'm saying animal protein because you can do it in beans, but you're going to have so many beans to get 30 grams of protein, because although it's a good vegetarian, vegan option for protein, it's just not that packed in protein. But if you want to do 30 grams of animal protein, you're going to have to take a steak. First of all, you're going to have to get a steak. You're going to have to get a chicken. You're going to have to get a pork. You're going to have to get it. You're going to have to turn on the oven, grease the pan, throw the chicken, steak, or whatever on, and that's going to take 10 to 15 minutes, right? It could take anywhere from 30 minutes. And if you don't have the protein, because it's expensive, you got to go out and get the plate. It could take up to an hour, right? Whereas for carbs, they're just in your, they're in your closet. They're in your fridge. You just pull them out, pop them in the, microwave, or with like chips and stuff, you can just eat them, right? And I think I don't know what I'm saying, but I think that's one of the reasons why protein powder is so popular. That's what I'm saying. I've been making my food, right? I've been making so much food on the weekends. I've been making my food for Tuesdays and Thursdays, because on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I don't come home, right? I'm out. I leave my house at 6 a.m. I'm up at 5:30. I get to work at 4 o'clock or 4:30. I work out till 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, I clock in. So I never have time to come home. So I just keep my food in my car. I keep my food in my car, which I know is probably disgusting, and I know I probably shouldn't do it, but that's what I do. And then I just eat it at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I have my 3 meals, and then during the day, first thing in the morning, I've been eating yogurt. So I leave my house at 6 a.m. I get to school at 7. I have 2 cups of yogurt. I go to class, and then I bring like these little protein bars, these Built bars, which I buy a lot of them at work. Then I have 2 of those in between my classes, right? And that's 220 calories. And I've already calculated out all my meals, which is like rice. It's a type of carb with a protein with like some tomato sauce or whatever. And then my yogurts are fat free. The Built bar is very low in fat, so I have a lot of fat. And so what I get out of class at 3:15, and I leave the school around 3:25. But I go to a vending machine, and this is when I think a lot of people get mad at me. I go to a vending machine, I get a candy bar, and I usually get a bag of chips, like a Dorito, or I get like a honey bun, and I cover my fat, right? Because you need fat in your diet, and I know you should get healthy fat, but I can't keep avocado in my meals sitting in my car because it's going to go brown and nasty, and I can't keep like sour cream in there because that's going to go bad. So it's hard for me to really fit fat in, and I could add fat to my yogurt, but I'm traveling an hour. I just kind of want to keep the yogurt next to me, so it's just kind of a headache. So I always get like a nice, delicious snack, right? So I've been doing that, and I've been sticking to it because I realized that for me to really do well in whatever I'm doing, I need to put my health first, right? I need to put my health first. And I was talking to my father about this. Dude, I fucking love having this mic. This is another one of the moments that I feel like an idiot. It's hard to do a 40 and an hour minute podcast because if you're uncomfortable, right? It's not easy. You got to sit like this the whole time. But now I can just like sit back in my chair, and it just feels a lot more personal. Honestly, it feels a lot more personal. I feel like I can get my points across a lot better. But this is one of the things where I was like, how can I fix it? How can I change? And I keep pointing up there because that's where the arm is. How can I change the arm so that it's like facing me so I can just kind of move it back and forth? And I was like, I can't do it. I can't figure it out. And then on the way to the gym today, I was like, wait a second, Mike. When you have a guest on, you either give them this mic or you use this mic. Why don't you just use that mic like a smart person? Like, why? I felt like an idiot. I felt so dumb. So I grabbed it and I've just been doing this, and it feels awesome. You know, I really like it. And I hope you guys don't think I'm like not taking it serious, because I am. I'm just like sitting back in my chair and I'm talking to you guys, and it feels beautiful. It feels good. And I can get my points across a lot better. I might be a little bit more bouncy, like off the walls and everything, but you know, that's me. That's kind of how it works. But yeah, everything's just been, things are going well right now, right? I have a speech on possibly Thursday, maybe next Tuesday. Taylor's coming home next weekend. My speech is easy. It's going to be on a social media company. I've wrote up 3 papers, got one more paper to do. No, 2 papers, got one more to do. I have a finance exam coming up, which I feel really good about. Work is going well. Everything just seems to be going well. And, you know, like I said, I had a conversation with my dad, and he's just so impressed by my ability to read. And honestly, you know, one of the things that I will say helped me tremendously was all these books I read, right? You got to remember, before I read any of these books, I'm just pointing to Sapiens, which is a fucking fantastic book, and I highly recommend everybody to read it. Anything by Yuval Noah Harari, you should absolutely read 110%. He's a brilliant writer. He's a historian. I think he's from Egypt, but everything he writes is so easy to understand, is so pure, and it's just a bunch of fact checks. It just punches you in the gut with the truth, and the truth is so hard for people to hear, but it's a beautiful book. But it honestly, I can't believe I read all these books. I cannot believe I read these books, and that is a sense of confidence that I have that makes me feel good. And it was really interesting hearing my dad saying, I can't believe you're reading these books. You know, he's having these conversations with his dad about like on Sunday, he was like, yeah, we talked about Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin. And he was like, I told my dad's telling his dad. So my dad's telling his dad that Michael's reading all about Adolf and Joseph Stalin. And it was a beautiful moment, right? It's just a beautiful moment because that's what reading does. It allows you to, that's what being curious does, not just reading. Like, this is like the benefits of being a curious person, is that it forces you and it forms you to be a person where you can be in an environment where you don't know the other person, but if you can find one thing about them, and if you have been a curious person, you've spent a lot of time just researching and learning and listening and reading from a large group of ideas, you can build a relationship with that person. A 5-minute relationship, a 20-minute relationship, a lifetime relationship. And that's what's so beautiful about reading and just obtaining information, is that you can do that. It's possible. It's possible. And that's given me so much confidence because I can converse with anybody. I had that beautiful conversation with the lady I talked about in my last podcast about equality, women's rights. Something that honestly, 2 years ago, I was the asshole who said like things like, you know, not that I didn't think women didn't have rights, because I knew they had rights, but I was just so naive. I thought they did have rights, and they do have rights, but it's not that. It's that they don't have as many as men. They're not treated the same. And I was like, well, that's just kind of how it is, right? But now, through the acts of reading, I've been able to put myself in situations where, no, that's fucking wrong. That's ignorant. That's an ignorant statement to make. And then I can converse with her. 2 years ago, I wouldn't know what to say. I would just sound like an asshole. But I didn't, because I've read books about it, right? I've read little chapters about it. I know like the culture background. I know the historical background. I don't know it personally. I don't know what it feels like to be a woman, but I can understand kind of what it feels like, or at least I can understand up to a point where we can continue a conversation. I talked to the other woman at the gym about psilocybin and about Terence McKenna. I had no idea who Terence McKenna was until I started reading and expanding my knowledge. And I think that is so important. I think it's so beautiful that we live in a world where you can do that, right? I've been listening so much to Dr. Jordan Peterson lately. I've been listening to Mike Tyson. I've been listening. There's just so much information out there. Sometimes it's information overload, but it's there and you can read it. And I think being a curious person is a beautiful thing. And it's interesting because they say curiosity kills the cat, or I think that's the quote, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I think being curious, people don't like it when you're a curious person because it makes them feel uncomfortable. I really do. I think that, like, I put out a picture on Facebook yesterday. It said, let me look it up real quick. It was by Einstein, who I fucking love. It said, keep up, please try to, I'm going to try to pronounce this word. My football is about to fall. Oh. Maybe not. It looks like it's about to fall. Is that better? Looks more straight. Oh, if it doesn't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall, ball. Don't do it. I'm going to try to pronounce this word. I have terrible grammar. Taylor had to read she reviewed one of my papers for me. Poor girl. I have the worst grammar. I just have too many thoughts that come into my head when I write papers. That grammar is just like the last thing I care about. I don't care about it. I just try to put out, I just try to get everything. I try to scoop out my thoughts and just dig them out of the cave, which is my brain, and just throw them out on the pavement and then try to like put them on the paper. Condemnation, which is being disgusted or not listening to somebody else. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. It's such a beautiful quote because it's a quote that does not exist for people who are curious and are constantly trying to learn opinions from different groups in different cultures, right? Because we all know, we all have that crazy uncle, that crazy cousin, that friend, the coworker who is constantly throwing out these ridiculous claims, intentionally trying to hurt the other party, hurt the other side, right? Out of this boost of self-esteem that they get. This weird, like, manipulative, narcissistic boost of energy that they get. We all know these people, right? They just shut off the other side because, honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're so uncomfortable that they have so much fear because they do not understand the other viewpoint. And I think that is what curiosity reflects. Curiosity is a shield to that. Curiosity is a shield to ignorance, right? Because curiosity, people who are curious like myself, I understand I'm ignorant on something, but I also refuse to continue to be ignorant on things. I absolutely refuse to do it. I will not continue to be ignorant on anything. I will fucking go out of my way to learn as much as I can about a subject, so I'm not condemning people intentionally or unintentionally, and because I do not want to be ignorant. I do not want to come off arrogant. I do not want to come off as the person who thinks I know everything, and the person who refuses to understand something. I want to constantly learn, and I think being a curious person is the ultimate attribute you can develop. It really is. It's one of those things that will make your life better, right? It will make you a happier person, And also, I think it's so important to disconnect people and their beliefs, right? I don't think people are their beliefs. I think beliefs are something that is a forever changing thing in someone's life. I really don't. I think that when you believe something, that could change, right? But the person you are, that changes too. But you want to be friends with a person. You don't have to be friends with someone's belief, political ideology, or viewpoint. You don't have to do that. You could just be friends with somebody, right? You could just know somebody. And if you don't agree with their viewpoint, at least try to understand and learn it. Like, don't have to agree with it, but learn about it, right? If you have a friend and you guys are great friends and 2 years go by and it's the heat of 2020, Bernie's up there talking about, free college for everything. Your friend's like, fuck yeah, Bernie, I want free college. And then you're like, whoa, free college. Do you understand what that even means? Like, do you know socialism equals communism? Like all that shit that people say. you can literally, without being curious and without being a good human, you will completely box this person in and you're going to ruin a friendship. Where in reality, what you could do is take a damn step back and learn about it. Let's learn about socialism. Let's learn about the connection of socialism and communism. Let's listen to Bernie on Joe Rogan, how he explains this concept of how he's going to do it. And even if you still disagree, maybe you can learn about why you are such a asshole towards somebody in their opinion. What are you so fearful of? Are you so unconfident of your viewpoint? It's like everyone's just, don't throw rocks in a glass house. I think that's the way the quote goes. But it's so true. I think it's so true. I think it's so true in this world that we live in. I have so many friends who are Democrats, Republicans, Muslims, Catholics, whatever it is. Because that's not who they are. That's a belief system. That's something that they have. But what they are is a friend. And that's something that we need to see more of. We cannot continue to attack somebody. I had a great conversation with somebody, and he said the climate that we live in today is just so toxic. And you know what? I think it is. I think it's more toxic than it has been in a while, but I don't think it's fully true. I think what we're experiencing right now in this world is just a bunch of assholes who are ignorant and refuse to believe the other side, not curious, stuck in their ways, refusing to be flexible at all. And they are the loudest voices. Why? Because they're not working during the day. Why? Because they're not out there being a productive citizen. So what do? They just sit on Facebook and Twitter all day, and they just they take off cannons or grenades and they just launch them. Things blow up. And then every once in a while, something sticks. They blow up something. And then their team's like, yeah, fuck yeah, you're awesome. Wow. And then that's your sense of meaning. That's what's happening. And I think the best way to combat that, the best way to put a shield up, the most realistic ability that you can have to fix that is to be a curious person. When someone says something crazy, instead of freaking the fuck out, maybe if someone believes that, if someone believes that socialism is communism, maybe you can read a book about socialism. Or maybe you can tell them, hey, man, you should probably read, Karl Marx. Maybe you should read actually about what communism is, right? I don't know. It's really interesting. And I don't know. It's more fascinating to me, I think, the most because I don't get in heating debates. And if I do disagree with somebody, I try to sympathize with them. I want to understand their viewpoint because clearly they're a person. They're a human being. They have feelings. They have thoughts. And they believe what they believe for a specific reason. And I want to know that reason, right? I want to know that reason the best way that I can because there's nothing different between them and me. We're both humans. We've experienced different things. We might have gone through different things. But I want to understand that. I want to know what makes us different. And then I want to see their viewpoint. I want to walk into their shoes as much as I possibly can. I don't know. I think it's very healthy to do that, especially today. I'm looking at my behind my rock here, my salt rock. I'm looking at the things I wanted to cover. I had 3 things here. Something about being a zygote, which is a crazy theory I'm going to talk to you guys about death. Not in this podcast. I wanted to talk about that. I also want to talk about the Hornet video on science, which was crazy. And I also want to talk about the Bible and how I was talking to Jen about it, my sister. But I'm not going to do that in this podcast because we're about at 40 minutes now. And I feel like I've been I think I might have been a little aggressive in this podcast. But I've tried it so hard. It just I try to be as honest as I possibly can. And I try to put myself in the mind state of where I am when I'm conversing with somebody. And that's kind of how I try to bring it to the podcast. And now with this mic, it's so stupid. I keep saying it, but I feel so much better. I feel so much freer. And I can look around and I can look at my books. On my laptop, I got Joey Diaz over there. But what's up, Joey? I can look at my ceiling and shit. And I can gather my thoughts a lot clearer and a lot easier. Hopefully the sound quality is good on this podcast too. I don't really have too much more to say. I'm just going to end it the way I end all my podcast. But the next podcast, I'm going to probably cover some more serious topics. I'm thinking I'm going to have my sister on soon. I think she comes back from college on Friday. So I think I might sit down And we're going to talk about some more serious topics. And, whatever. We'll talk about that when we get there. But the weekend was beautiful. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Before we get out of here, I just want to remind you guys to just do a few things for me. I put out this quality for you guys. I put out this podcast for you guys. If you guys could just give back a little bit, and I know, I'm not saying you guys don't. I'm just saying, if you haven't, listening to it is absolutely huge, and that means everything to me. And that's the most that you can do. That's fine. If that's the most you can do, that's absolutely fine. But what you could do, which helps me tremendously, is if you just go to Apple Podcasts, type in The Michael Lab Show, and you just leave it a 5-star rating. And then if you even want to be a cooler person, you can write out a rating. Write out something. Say you like it. You like this episode. You like his charisma, whatever. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit the like button on all the YouTube videos. And then if you want to write a comment, that would be amazing. Hit that notification bell. Something else that you guys could do, which helped me tremendously, is please tell at least 3 or 4 or 5 people, one person, about the podcast. And if you think they enjoy it, let them know. Listen to it together. All that helps a lot with the podcast. It helps it grow. The more you guys listen, the more I can invest into it, and the more that we can grow this thing, and the quicker we can get out of this bedroom so I can have a lot of guests on. But that's been it, guys. That's been the Michael Lab Show, 60-something. I think 68 maybe, 69, 70, who knows, 66. I think it's 68. But I'm going to catch you guys in episode 69 with a more serious topic, as I've already preluded to. It could change. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, written subscription. Do all the good stuff. You guys know what it is. This mic has changed the podcast. I'm so excited to do this. I will catch you guys on Thursday, March 5th. See ya.